Dariush. Like Dariush.
Dariush, like the king.
Oh, exactly. And whenever I meet a Greek person,
Everyone
now
says
you're
that.
allowed to say, we defeated you in the Pass of Thermopylae.
Yes. Yeah, I'm.
I was
Should
in
we
a
do the
land.
water? Now, I feel like you don't have a mic.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. I am Marin, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the Director of Content and Consultant for Exencional, which is affiliated with Exence. It's a website dedicated to niche perfumery. So if you like the feeling of the workshops, you will love the website because it's the continuation in a written form. So today I have a fantastic panel that we're going to delve into the subject of slow perfumery. And slow perfumery is a term that I've seen it quite a bit in publications, on the internet, and it's kind of a buzzword that we're seeing out and about. And so and in addition to that, seeing it, all the people on the panel, which I will introduce, I have interviewed, and over time they have mentioned this to me. So I thought, let's get together and have a group discussion. So if I start on the far end, I introduce Manos Gerakinis, who is a founder, brand founder. He's here and at Exence, so you can visit his booth later. Next to him is Dariush Alavi, who is also known as Persolaise. He has a fantastic channel. He's a writer. He's an independent perfume critic, and I highly suggest you follow him. Then I have Brooke Belldon, who is the founder of the retail site Saint-Celier. She also is now having pop-up shops in London, so a very much a proponent of slow perfumery, artisan perfumery. And then right next to me here is Neela Vermeire, who is the founder of Neela Vermeire Creations. Okay, so we're going to get started. And we really only have a few questions, but they're loaded. Because it's a question of what is slow perfumery and how would we define it. So we've had multiple conversations, all of us, and the way that I started by saying, to me, it's mindful creation, thoughtful craftsmanship, slower innovation, perhaps using traditional methods of perfumery production. And it's when a brand makes a conscious decision to create something because they have something to say in an olfactory way. It's not when they want to fill a gap or satisfy shareholders and meet the ROI that's determined by the big group. So that was kind of how I at least started with the skeletal description of what is slow perfumery. But then, and I want to start with Dariush, because the way that you talked about it, you said maybe we should define it by saying what it is not.
Yeah, I did say that. Hello, everybody, by the way.
Oh, I think the microphone. Better.
The light is red. Should it be red? Okay, no.
Yeah.
And now I can hear myself, which is very strange. No, we did say defining it by what it's not. Actually, I don't know if you're aware, Karen, but a few days ago, one of the founders of the slow food movement passed away. I had to look, I can't remember his name. It was Carlo Petrini, right? And I think the whole slow food movement, which started in Rome, came about as a rejection, didn't it? Because I believe the story goes that there was a McDonald's that was opening in Rome, and he wanted then to define a movement that was going to be the anti-McDonald's. And I guess slow perfumery can be defined by the things that it isn't. It isn't like going into a perfume shop that's like a supermarket. It isn't something where you see a famous face advertising a perfume and you quickly spray it on a blotter and within 30 seconds you've decided that you want to buy it. It isn't something where a marketing department in a brand is telling the people in the brand that they need to release 2 perfumes every 3 months. It's all of those things that it isn't, which is, I think, what we talked about.
Exactly, yeah. Brooke, I think that you were talking about how we have a lot of perfume, but do we have perfumery?
Yeah, and I think you have to wonder, like, what these perfumes are adding to the aesthetic language of perfume. Like, how are they advancing the conversation about what perfume can be and like what it can represent? And I think when things are hurried to market, they're not really given time to think about the ideas that inform them and how those ideas are communicated and translated, you know, from brands, from retailers, from media, and just all those different points.
Yeah, and I think you also mentioned how perhaps some brands are on this frenzy of launching just to stay in the public eye.
Yeah, so I think, you know, we have to recognize that the way that we communicate about perfumery now is very quick on very fast platforms. So, and people feel compelled to produce content every day because they feel that that's what they need to do to appease the algorithms that they run on. So in order for perfumery to stay sort of relevant and in those conversations, you see brands kind of catering to this by speedier launches. But I think what the gap that's missing is like what's happening at like a customer level. And I think, you know, people have maybe lost sight that perfume in itself is an object that is consumed very slowly.
Right, right. I'm gonna go to the other end of the table. And Manos, we had a long conversation about slow perfumery, and I remember you were saying, well, first of all, slow is the word that's in the term, and that's a term of time.
Yes, I suppose time is very important to me, and I think it's the ultimate luxury for everyone, because obviously we don't know how much time we've got left, and things we do go always back in time. And I'm a sort of a dreamer, because most of you know the Little Prince and how much importance it gives to time. When he goes and he sees so many other roses and he returns to his rose, he understands why the rose is important, because it's all of the time he spent with that rose. So I think slow perfumery, as the first word says, it's connected to time anyway. So for me, that I'm a creative director to my brand, from the initial idea, when it comes through, to the final product, it can take a very long time, because it has a lot of different stages, and I have the luxury to wait until it actually complete, and it's the right time to go out in the market. So from the time that you actually have an idea, to choose the right perfumer to do it, because it's also building a relationship with someone who you think they can interpret your dream and make the idea into a tangible item that people can wear and enjoy, and production, and then ending up in the store in itself, and then building a relationship as well with the retailers, because in the end of the day, the retailers, the reviewers are the ones who are going to present it to the public, and they need to be able to translate your initial idea to the people who are actually going to buy it. Also, I think that during this process, because it's a long process, you put a piece of your heart and soul to the creation and to the product. So that's why a lot of people ask me, which one is your favorite perfume? And it's very hard to say, because obviously all of them are like, I don't have kids, but I've got lots of kids, and they're all the creations that they're in the collection. And I want to note something else as well, which for me is very important, is that people nowadays, they're confused with slow perfumery and what it really means for the industry, and which is art, and art means creation. So I think it's extremely important, because it leads the industry forward. but they confuse it with luxury. And putting a brand name on the package and on the bottle, yes, it's very important. I can understand why. But putting heart and soul is nothing that you can compete with a brand name. So, and I don't know if I'm meant to say this, but I've been working over a decade in a department store, and when I went back to them, well-known, one of the biggest department stores in the UK, when they gave me feedback about the products, and they were my friends, they were more conscious about the weight of the cup, the weight of the glass. They put the perfumes together one next to each other, and they would compare if it's exactly the same or not. And I want to say that when most of the production is made by hand, because we obviously make small batches, we can't produce masses, we can't, just literally we can't do it. It's very hard for one product to be exactly the same as the next. But I believe that it's people nowadays that they want to belong rather than they want to be different. And I think that one of the messages, at least, that I want to come out from is that we need to accept that we're all different and embrace our uniqueness.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this story, and that you know, that we need to embrace imperfection.
Imperfection.
And that when something is artistic, and if it's done by hand or something's applied by hand, there's a charm actually in maybe the label not being exactly at the same level as the one before.
But that's what actually makes it unique. You've got something that's unique in your collection. Right. And plus nature is not perfect either, so why should everything we create be?
Well, this is when it's like made by the robot, right?
Exactly.
And I love what you say about how there's a part of you in every bottle that you make.
Well, there is no other way, because every single perfume, when you've got an idea, it's things that you lived, emotions. For me, if you put them all down in the dates that they were actually created, I can narrate my life in perfumery, in perfumes. You can see when I was in love, when I was not in love. Everything in my life is there in perfumery. So it's very interesting to pass it on, and it's people to connect with it. But in order for people to connect also, you need time. They need time to understand it.
No, I love that. And I think, Neela, I think that this was something that you also said to me, that the perfume that you make, it has soul.
Yes, but also I want to go back to, sorry.
Microphone.
Go ahead.
No, your microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Microphone.
Okay, slow perfumery, in my opinion, is what perfumes were in the past, how they were made. They were made with a lot of time, great materials, and I'm talking about vintage perfumery. And then when we come on to, say, 1990s, Serge Lutens, Annick Goutal were some of the first names. And I'm going to mention brands because they were the forefront, and they really started the movement. And then, of course, we come into 2010s, sorry. Pardon. Sorry, you can't hear me? No, okay. Ça va? You can hear? Okay. All right.
Come closer.
Thank you, sorry. 2010s, it was Mandy Aftel, the American niche perfumer, who actually worked in the real slow style. So if you look at the history of slow perfumery, it is not just related to, yes, of course, soul, of course, but also to the past. And don't forget, Egyptians, Indians, Mesopotamians, they all had perfumes, and they used fantastic raw materials, which were pure. But of course, thanks to IFRA, we are not allowed to use the best materials. So in my opinion, slow perfumery has to be something where we actually feel that the quality is great, take our time, and work on it.
Yeah.
Well, so,
yeah, sure. No, that's exactly.
And, yeah,
I mean, we're here to share our opinion, and I think that
Well, I mean,
this
that's
is
my
what you've.
opinion
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
that's what you told me, and I mean, I couldn't agree more. So then I think our next question would be, why does it matter? Why does slow perfumery matter? Okay, and Dariush, you had a very interesting answer for me about that, related to knowing the creative director and the importance of the relationship between a creative director, the perfumer, and the end product.
I think this is really, really huge, actually, and I could get really worked up about this question, but I will try to. We have a timer ticking down here, which is
Exactly.
really, really serious. It's a tough question to answer because I think what it comes down to is that if it matters to you, then it matters, and if it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter. And I'm not sure that the people to whom it matters would ever actually be able to convince the people to whom it doesn't matter that it matters. Does that sentence make sense? To me, it is fundamentally important to know that this thing that I'm applying to my skin or to my clothes was made by a human being that wanted to convey some ideas. It may be that they wanted to do a sort of autobiography in scent. It may be that they wanted to capture the essence of a place, whatever. They wanted to say something. We all have different reasons for watching films. We all have different reasons for listening to music. You know, for some of us, music is a kind of throwaway thing. For some of us, it's the essence of our lives. And we all have different reasons for wearing perfume. And like I said, if for you a perfume is an accessory, then fine. Go out and wear it as an accessory, and you do you, and enjoy wearing it as an accessory. If for you a perfume is a conversation with the person who made it, which it is for me, then I think that kind of collapses if you find out that the perfume was made by AI, or if you find out that the perfume was the result of, as I said earlier, somebody in a marketing department saying, we need a jasmine for the third quarter of 2027. That conversational aspect of it is gone. And I think what we talked about as well, Karen, was that if somebody tricked me and somebody said, oh, here's this amazing perfume made by, enter name of perfumer, and if I wore it and I loved it, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm getting everything this perfumer is saying, and then if somebody turned around and said, well, actually, we tricked you, this was made by Givaudan's latest AI thing, I think that would diminish it for me. It would. I would feel cheated. I would feel like I'd been lied to. And there's a lot of honesty in perfumery, isn't there, if it's done well? And if a perfume is a lie, then it's diminished. Have I answered the question?
No, absolutely.
Okay, right.
I mean, I know that we talked about this, and I said that there's certain fragrances that I have that I do have that relationship with. Like I remember when I bought them, I've talked to someone who was behind the brand, and so it's like putting it on is reliving that moment also, and then the fragrance gives me so much joy and such happiness that it does matter. I mean, to me, it matters a lot, and it's an emotional moment of happiness, of experiencing another moment in time, and it's the whole thing about being transported. But it has that relationship with the brand and the creation of the fragrance. Manos, do you have anything you want to add on that?
For me, creativity and the part that we create something new and innovation. It takes a lot of money in innovation in perfumery, and all these businesses, the big brands give a lot of money for research. And I think that with slow perfumery, smaller brands, they take the time, they create something unique, and creating something artful means that it evolves it helps the evolution of the whole industry. So I believe it's very important, because if you don't have people creating something unique and aftercare, you're not going to have the people following and creating something, because it sort of dilutes from top bit of the pyramid to the rest of the industry eventually. And that's why something that, I don't know, for example, last year, I never follow trends. If it happens that they match, because we obviously live in this world, all of us together, it's okay. But for example, last year we've done an almond fragrance. It did very well. No one was doing almonds. I'm thinking of a Marin. Marin is not fashionable at the moment. It doesn't matter. It happens. Then if something unique happens, then it's gonna go to the rest of the industry eventually. Like pistachio a couple of years ago, when somebody did it, and then eventually there were so many pistachios around, it was like overwhelming. We didn't. I think that creativity and creating something unique and beautiful will always be the first part that will lead, and we need it. I think the risk of not taking the risk to do something new, because people are scared of failure, and as I said before, they want to belong. So I think it's more risk not to take a risk than to fail into something that eventually some people will understand and they will love as well.
Neela, I know that we talked about this as well, and that you had a point of view on, as a creative director, that you said that you can be demanding. Sorry? You can be demanding. You can be.
Oh, yes. but in a very nice way. I have a lot of respect for my perfumer, that's not the chauffeur. I've worked with him since 2009-10, for my main line. And what I believe is he's a master perfumer. Who am I? I'm a pupil, okay? So what I always try to do is give my ideas and then work on them. Of course, he, gives his. It's more a collaboration, really. And every time it gets either better, sometimes not, but it all depends, But finally, we sit down together and we discuss. And I have some very dear friends in Paris who test on their skin for me, who give me skin time. And I don't work with, obviously, focus groups. We're too tiny. We don't have a marketing team of 100 people, So everything we do has to touch our clients. And if people don't like our perfumes, I don't feel bad. I say they're not my clients. That is the way I look at it. Is that?
Yes. Well, and the whole the whole concept of creative direction, and it being a team that makes the product. I know, Brooke, that this was something that you talked about as well. That it behind a perfume is more than just the perfumer, of course. And that it is a group that makes it a success, and this is part of why it is important to do it in a slow way.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the perfumes that I stock, I'm very lucky to have close working relationships with my brands, and some of them tell me about things that they've been working on for 2 or 3 years, and it starts with a single idea, and then the idea is kind of growing as they are testing mods, and it is a very, I don't know, it's almost like their idea is having a conversation with the work as it's being developed, and you kind of see what that's like when it's then introduced to customers, because they instantly click with it. I mean, even just seeing a name or seeing the idea. And I think with a lot of works coming out, it's you kind of, it's where are these I have to have it moments? And I think those are, those kind of lightning strikes that we kind of need more of.
Go for it, yes.
I forgot to mention one thing. You know that. I don't work with any evaluators, and that doesn't mean I don't respect them. They have a part in the industry, but when you work directly with an independent perfumer, it's really important to work together and not have a third person, because the minute it's like a group, right? The synergy, the energy, everything changes. So, anyways, that's all I have to say.
It's fine. It's a discussion. So, but I kind of want to go back to one thing though that Manos was saying, and this was the concept of the artistry, and the fact that slow perfumery really does keep the industry going, because what you were saying is that without the slow perfumery and the way that you're creating, the industry will die. And I see Silvio sitting in the audience, and I think that he would agree 100%, because we've always said that Essence is where the ideas are born, and that a lot of big groups follow what they find at Essence. And so, do you want to say a few more words about how you feel about how artistic perfumery is so important from the creative, what it gives to the industry?
I'm not sure how dramatic I can be sometimes, but I do believe that if we don't have the driving force to create new things, eventually the business is gonna die, because we need new things, and we need people who love it, love what they do so much that they put all the effort, they put all the time, they don't stop. And it's very difficult as well, because it's like when you create art, you say, when do you stop? And when you have obviously a certain budget and you've got certain marketeers behind you, you need to perform on time, which is very difficult, but very fast and quick. And then for me, that I was taking painting lessons when I was a kid, my teacher always said, if you don't like something, just put it in the closet, leave it, and then go back, because we evolve as well. So for example, and I'm going back to the almond perfume because it's very interesting, and I'm not going to name people, but I started working with one perfumer at a time, and we had a completely different sense of where the perfume was going. So after a year, we said, let's forget it. It can't happen. Because you need to build a personal relationship with the other person. It's very difficult. They need to be able to understand when you describe something, what you actually mean, and read between the words. Then we started with a second perfume, and that didn't actually work either. And then I was sitting in this very room, and Karen was doing a workshop, and they passed on some blotters with a couple of perfumes from that perfumer. So I got to understand their work, and then I stopped in the corridors, and we started building a relationship. And then I thought, okay, perfect. She's bright, she's happy, she got this. We started talking, we matched, we clicked. I said, we need to do a perfume together. I gave her the brief. Took us another year and a half, and then after 4 years in the end, the perfume came out last year. But what I'm trying to say here is, you need to be able to afford the time to create something unique and beautiful, and when the time is right, you say, this is it, it's enough. There is nothing I can add to this that is gonna make it better. But in order for any of the brands to do this, it has to be, it's what makes niche actually. What makes the big difference, and what we give out to the world is that artist, it's like haute couture, you know, fashion, when people create dresses for a few people or for a single person, and then drives a whole industry. Everyone goes and watches the haute couture, but they actually buy what they can afford from anyone they can afford, but it's the leader of a big industry. And we need slow perfumery, we need niche, and we need to actually educate the people to understand it, because once you understand something, you actually love it, and you go back, and then you realized what you were doing all these years and how they pass with other things that you were choosing before.
Okay, I think that's a great segue to our next topic, but before we get started on that, I'm going to ask that the first fragrance be passed around. Neela has, we're going to start with Neela's fragrance, which maybe Neela, you want to say a few words about the fragrance and maybe the time it took to create it?
Yes, it's Eshal. It's one of our, I would say, extracts. We haven't created many extracts. We just have 3 now, but most of them are high concentration EDPs. This is a green tuberose, like you hold tuberose, fresh tuberose in your hands, and you actually smell it. And that's the idea I wanted to, well, Bertrand and I wanted to express. But I went through a personal journey. I had cancer, etc. Anyways, so when I came out of it, I wasn't in remission then. And I wanted to launch something bright at that point in time. And Ishal was really the best to come out with. And then I am in remission as of end of last year. So we've just launched Neath. And if you guys want to come and please smell it, we are at booth.
Smell me.
Sorry?
Or just come and smell me.
No. Oh, sorry.
I'm joking.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, I can be very blonde. So it's I, like Italia, 09, okay? Come by, smell Neath, which is a very different perfume. It's a parfum, it's an extract. And after this, smell that, okay? Ishal was really something that I wanted to do because it's a very typical perfume for me, because I grew up in India, and in India we have beautiful white flowers, and I think, as you know, all our perfumes have white flowers, or roses, etc. So please do come by. That's all I can say. I will let.
How long did it take you to make it?
Well, we were working for a few years. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. It took us a long time, actually. But during my cancer, I could not work all the time because, as you know, chemo can take a big part of your, energy. And but though I had a few operations, whenever I felt good enough to smell, I smelled. Now, this slow perfumery is not because of slow perfumery, but because of my health. And it's because of me, me. But another thing I wanted to mention about slow perfumery, don't forget, is that there are many brands, small brands, who don't have a lot of money. So so they may not have the money or funds to create, perfumes every single year. That's not totally our case, but there are many brands suffering. So I would say when next time you spend money on an Hermes, they will kill me, sue me, whatever, please think about, investing in smaller brands. And that's all I can say. I'm not going to mention any other names.
Well, we know small brands that have small staff.
Well, exactly.
If they even have a
Exactly.
staff. And that they wear a lot of hats. And so the whole idea of being slow could be just that you're doing it all. And there's only so much time in the day to do everything.
So much. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And also the fact that slow in the way we try to explain sorry, again, sorry, I'm terrible. Okay, so it's really about people, and I know many brands who actually have to wait, for funds and then be able to produce, because productions are not cheap.
Right.
So, think about it. So just think of this and remember, if you want to take one thing away with you, is next time you pay a lot to big conglomerates, think of niche brands, if the word niche exists, So there you go.
Okay.
I'll pass.
I think we're going to go to our last topic, but while we're on that one, I'm going to ask that the second fragrance be passed out, and this is the one that Manos was speaking about, the Amandus, where he worked with several perfumers before he got the
I'm not
version
going to
that
say
you...
a lot because I've already covered the topic. I'm only going to say it was a creation we did together with Sofia Bardelli. And the funny story is when it started, because I wanted to do a perfume based on sugar-coated almonds. So you can imagine weddings, bridal, happiness. But all these 4 years that the perfume was going on, I went through the phase of being with somebody to being single. So just imagine the whole process. It's interesting.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying I'm covering the whole life, the autobiography, Dariush was saying.
Yeah. So, okay, that's going to be passed around now. And then the last topic that we got on, and it kind of came up just organically when we were all talking, is that with the idea of slow perfumery comes the idea of slow installation. Okay, so slow installation meaning slowly letting the brand grow, having a retailer that really supports it and lets it have its time. So maybe we start, Brooke. I know that you have a very curated assortment on your site and also in the pop-up. So, like, tell us about the choice and how you make your choices and how you help to let the brands grow and develop with you.
I mean, I guess initially a lot of my choices were kind of made around brands that I was buying and importing into the UK as a customer. So a lot of my brands that I started working with in the first year were kind of informed by that because I knew that other people were like looking for those as well. But when I'm like evaluating new brands, I think there's just kind of an energy that is kind of translated through. I mean, you can kind of smell when something kind of feels empty, a little bit devoid of, it's just some kind of energy that informs the creative process. And, but then conversely, like when you smell it, you kind of really do recognize it. And I think, you know, as we were talking about, like, giving things time, and as a retailer, I mean, when I see things that kind of aren't moving as quickly as I would like them to, my initial thinking is around, like, what else can I do to tell people about them? Like, because it's like I know a lot of things, and as Neela was saying, and you were saying, like, when you're doing things completely on your own, you don't really have the luxury of time to constantly be advocating for those works.
Right, and we as a group were saying how unusual that is for a retailer to say, what can I do to make the brand more, like, put it in the spotlight, to introduce it, like, what else can I say about it? Whereas so many retailers would say, well, it's had its time and it needs to go, and it's edited out. Whereas as you give it the time to find its audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, when I decide to stock something, it's because I really love it. I've seen something in it, I've experienced a connection with it. So I would be very reluctant to abandon that when I feel that there is a way for other people to perhaps discover in it what I have.
Yeah, and I think I remember also our conversation, and we were talking about how it's also important that the assortment be not overwhelming, because I remember, Dariush, we talked about how there can be this panic of overwhelm, and that people are like, there's so many choices, so I'm not going to make one. And yeah.
Absolutely. I should also just follow up by saying you are more than welcome to come and smell me, but please do visit Neela's stand and Manos' stand as well and tell them Persile sent you. No, 100%. I interviewed Rodrigo Flores-Roux, who's sort of one of the most prominent Givaudan perfumers, and I said, what would you like the industry to do to kind of improve things? And he took a deep breath And he said, I would love it if the entire industry decided to not release a single thing for 6 months. I mean, see the response that gets. But obviously he knew that is never going to happen. Also, it would be interesting if every single one of us in this room did not purchase, well, maybe not in this room, maybe like in the whole of Europe, didn't purchase a single perfume for 6 months. That's also not going to happen. It does feel like it needs a little bit of a correction of some sort, a stop. Yeah. You know, you all know the story of Angel, you know, Thierry Mugler's Angel, one of the most successful perfumes of all time. The received wisdom at the moment is that if the creative director at the time, Vera Struby, and the people behind her, if they didn't believe in that perfume and just kept pushing it, it would not have been the success that it eventually became, because when it was first launched, it was not a success at all. It completely bombed. I'm not sure brands would do that now with many perfumes.
No, I remember that launch. And they spent an enormous amount of money on it, and it was polarizing. But then it became a huge success because it was totally different. And again, as we were saying, it was someone who took a risk. It was creative. It was out of the box. And flash forward to now, and look how many gourmand fragrances are on the market. So this is kind of a 360 of what we were talking about. The other point that I wanted to bring up with the slow installation is just about the role of the retailer maybe in helping the audience to know about brands, and also the fact that when someone comes to you, like I know I've had this conversation with Silvio, that when you don't know, like people come in and they say, what's new? And it's like if I don't know Neela Vermeire creations, every fragrance is new to me. So why do we get paralyzed in that what is new and only promoting what's new? And is there a way to kind of embrace a wider range so that people experience more than just what is the latest thing?
Are you asking me?
And anyone can jump in and take that one.
I think what's new is very different to what you want or what you like. And I mean, one thing that I really love at the pop-ups is getting to have conversations with people in person and getting to hear what they're actually looking for from their fragrance. And to me, like, the most important thing I can do for them is to fulfill that to, like, the best of my knowledge.
Well, you know, it was so funny that I just said, what's new? And it was just like a reflex that you said, well, what are you looking for? Rather than, this is what I have that's new. And isn't that a better answer? And it's so simple. So
absolutely,
yeah.
And I see that. I mean, for me, like one of the best things I love is when I'm working with a customer in person and I get it right in like the first go, and they're just like, "This is exactly what I wanted," and I feel very happy with that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, anyone have any other comments that they'd like to make?
Left.
Yeah,
yes,
I have a feeling.
1 minute, 54 seconds. Okay. So just very quickly, most retailers, as all of you probably know, want to have best sellers, which mean what appeals to everyone, and and that's not a bad thing because they've got to make money. It's normal. It works across the board. I mean, retailers, distributors, everyone. But one of the things I faced personally as a company and a creative director is that because we did slow launches, people just, I think retailers wanted to take on new brands all the time, okay? So we invested in our own boutique, and we have it on Boulevard Malesherbes. Come by to the stand and I will share the address. And when you're in Paris, do come by. I serve, I don't employ anyone. So it's going to be a meeting with me, okay? So, which I think is very nice because I love to get to know my clients. Nice. That's all, sorry.
Nice, no,
seconds.
very nice, great. Okay, well, I think does anyone have any final comment they want to make before we take any questions from the audience? Oh, no, okay, well, Silvia's ready with an answer, with a question. So we'll go ahead to questions. We have I don't know, 23 seconds. 20 seconds. Okay, well, we can run over.
Thank you to everyone to be there. Thanks to Karen to invite you to have you there. I have a question for the public. What is the best teletransportation system we invented?
Sorry?
The teletransportation system.
I know.
Do you know?
It's fragrance.
It's perfume. With the perfume, you can be on the seaside, on a mountain, wherever you want. So we must be conscious of the powerful in transporting people. It's like the Alice in the Wonderworld door.
Oh, yeah, where the wearer is.
And that is, secondly, regarding to what you told you before, it's very important the relationship between the nose and the storyteller. So I invite very often to, why don't you sign the perfume with the two names? Because the same nose with another guys make completely different things. So it's not a guarantee. It's very important that to recognize the authors, something that probably Christophe Lodamiel will insist a lot on, and that is, the other point is related to what you told. I am quite convinced that if we withdraw the perfume that has more than 10 years from the market, we lose 75% of the business. And very often, a perfume, if it's a new perfume, takes 2 or 3 years to take off, as you told me before. No? So and too many launches are cutting the legs of the new entry. So we are discharging a lot of masterpieces because we are too in a hurry to launch. Michael Leaders yesterday told us 10,000 perfume in a year. Too many.
Yeah.
And so slow perfumery should also be trusting what you made, support it, resist on the fact that it's not an immediate success, give an opportunity to the retailer to propose it and not to be in a hurry to reach target and a result. We are not only living for KPI or something else. And so welcome to, thank you too much, sorry, Karen.
No, yeah, absolutely. No, we agree. I see a question here in the front.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your talk. I liked a lot of your points, especially one that rang true with what Brooke said earlier on, that is that we live in a society right now where we're all constantly bombarded with information. We have this short-form content, it's instant gratification, and if you're not present all this time, you become forgotten. So how do you deal with that? Because I think it's a matter of education, because we are in a bubble of people that are true enthusiasts, and we give the time to the product. But even I, like with Neela, I have to take my time. It's not on the first smell, the first wear, that I understand her fragrance. I have to wear it many times. But for the most people, they smell a strip, they smell the top note, they get some nice citrus, and then they go to the cash register and buy the perfume. So my question to you is, how do you deal with that? Do you just think we have two types of customers? Those customers that will simply go for the instant gratification, and those that take the time? Or is there some way that you can convert the masses from one to the other?
Go ahead. I've kind of had those experiences in store where you smell a perfume and you get very taken by the top notes. I sometimes think that there are perfumes that are designed with a bit more curb appeal than others. They're kind of made for those please take my money immediately moments. But I think, if people, I think the way that people are actually making initial engagements with perfume is largely changing, and people seem to be buying more like discovery products and taking their time to really see if the perfume is working for them, and having, multiple wears of it before deciding if they want to buy a bottle. Because I think especially as people's fragrance wardrobes grow, you get to a point of if you have too many, are they being worn? I think it's important.
Can I just quickly add something as well? Sorry. Your question was, how do you do it?
Yeah.
And I'm not a retailer, but I think my personal answer would be keep the faith. just keep going, just keep doing what you do. I'm sure you've had experiences where you've allowed other people in your life to delve into the slightly more interesting side of perfumery, and I would imagine that most of them have this kind of eye-opening moment where they think, oh my goodness, I had no idea perfume could be like this. So I think just keep doing that. You know, we've heard the expression, if you build it, they will come. Maybe we need to say, if you slow it down, they will come.
And I'll just add one thing. Give perfumes time. And I always tell our clients, try, keep trying, and Brooke does, and all our other retailers do. Top-note hits is what most companies base their perfumes on. Okay, and how to, change their mindset, it's impossible. Because they will have a style who will not like niche fragrances. And you have to educate, and education is something which is very difficult to do with people who will never get it. It's like taking a duck to the whatever.
I think.
I'm sorry, I'm cynical.
No, well, I get that, but in my career, when I was a buyer at Sephora, I was actually the first one that created the Discovery Kit. That was, and I negotiated with brands to get like 8 fragrances in a box, and the brands didn't want to be with the other brand, and it was just it was a nightmare. But it was a thing of like, well, let's get the samples in the customer's hand. They go home, they can spray to their heart's content. They try 8 different fragrances, and then they come back and decide which one they really like. So I think that whole dynamic has helped to allow people the time that they really need to live with a fragrance, because, like you said, how many fragrances are there here, and how can we really appreciate them? It's like you can do a quick pass-by, like a drive-by, but then you've got to take them and evaluate them later. But you go because you find an interest in what that brand is. And then, for like you're an aficionado, you're experienced. But for people that maybe don't know what they even like, that's why it takes longer. It's a journey. This is this term, but it is a process of learning, and it's something that I think is retailers and brands can help in the education process, and also making it fun for the consumer so that they want to learn. And we're in a sense, we're blessed that we had COVID, because it really helped people to appreciate their sense of smell and realize how much beauty it can bring to their life.
Right. One more thing, sorry. Well, actually, we are here because you all love niche fragrances. Am I correct? Otherwise, you all wouldn't be here. Now, if you look at certain countries, and I'm talking about, geographically, I know for certain there are certain countries where big names work. Why? Because it's prestige, okay? Not because they want to be unique. It's all about, say, a handbag. I'll just, compare it to a very special handbag. I'm not mentioning the names, but, it's the same prestige matter. But there are unique people who want to be different. And these are the people who will continue to go after special, unique perfumes. Yeah. And I think that's what my prayer is to, well, you can teach, but you can't always teach, people who don't want to be converted, so.
That's true. Any other questions in the audience? Oh, Francois.
I wanted to do a comparison with the fashion industry, that in Paris, they have the same problem. The opinion leaders are the tiny brands, but the tiny brands struggle. And the big brands, that's inevitable. They will end up doing the same thing and being standardized. What they did is the big brand, Dior in the clothing, pay the Paris Fashion Week for emerging brand support. And I don't see that in perfume. And in those times where the good brand will have already are doing what they can to pass the crisis, I'm asking myself, how the new one will get in this industry with that mentality of slow perfumery without support. And those big brands, if there is not a new brand coming, they will die with them. So what I'm asking in that business that move a lot of money is why are we auto-destructive that much, and what can we do to create a healthy, supporting new brands that will then be copied by the bigger brand, and and so on, just to keep the machine running. I don't know. It's a weird question, but guys, that might have to be done.
Yeah, so it's how do we support the small brands to get notoriety and to be in the spotlight? Well, I think a couple things. First of all, I would say that Persiles is a great source of promoting small brands. He really champions them and interviews them and talks about them. I think that the work that I do with Silvio for Exceptional is always a way of trying to put a focus on small brands. So I think we're doing it in a grassroots way. And none of us have a lot of money behind us. But we recognize the art and the value. So the more that we can shine that light, I think the better. And I want everybody to be successful. And it's why I try to always have different people on my panel and different people that I think deserve to be shown and that we write about. And I think Dariush, you do the same. You're very you have a diversity of brands and of people that you interview, and you have a good following.
Thank you for that. I guess so, but I guess. Oh, somebody answer the phone. It's Hermes. They're suing you.
Already?
Say goodbye to Neela. It was nice knowing you.
Bye.
Right after you've promised. Speaking of interviews,
There goes the next month. There goes the next launch.
Shall I get it?
They come here after you.
Speaking of interviews, Neela promised yesterday that she would do an interview on my channel. Finally, after years of saying that I was mean at... Just get the phone. No, thank you for the kind words, Karen.
Turn the volume down.
Who is it? We all have to know.
Say hi to the audience.
You okay now?
I'm probably wanted in the stand.
Okay.
Okay? So please
Tough.
excuse me.
Oh, well,
But no.
But
they can wait a minute.
I don't think I consciously try to champion small brands. I don't kind of go through my list and go, oh, that's a small brand, I'd better champion them. I think it just so happens that a lot of the interesting brands that I would like to champion are the smaller brands. But, I get just as excited about the latest from Serge Lutens, or, I don't know, I'll be very excited to find out what the next Chanel exclusive is going to be, as I am about, the latest from Neela or Les Indemodables or whoever. But I guess the answer to your question, if I understood the question correctly, is kind of my answer to the earlier question, which is we just have to keep doing what we do and spreading the word and trying to tell people that there is another world out there. I guess.
If I may say, what I meant in the fashion is Dior and those big actors actually support financially the tiny ones, which is us. Yes, we will keep being opinion leader. Say, go smell Neela. Every time I see in my boutique in Paris, I said, we don't sell Neela, but we say, go to meet Neela. And that's what I can do. But they don't realize that as in fashion, they have the money, and the money they will give to those tiny actors will also help them survive in the longer term, which is more structural and money than...
And I suppose I don't see an equivalent of that happening in perfumery just yet, but there is one kind of parallel, is that, for example, if you are at, a Givaudan or IFF or Firmenich, they don't actually have a problem with some of their top perfumers making perfumes for quite underground-ish smaller brands. So somebody like Quentin Biche, a perfumer you've all heard of, he makes perfumes for some of the most mainstream brands out there, but also some of the sort of smaller, lesser-known ones. Rodrigo Flores Roux, I mentioned, he makes perfumes for all sorts of brands. Jan Vanier Bertrand Duchaufour makes perfumes for all sorts of
Sorry,
brands.
but I beg to differ.
Go on, go on.
Okay, so large companies, unless you sort of have a possibility to make a good amount of,
Or to cough up the money. Yeah.
for them,
Yeah.
they are not interested in niche brands, and I can tell you that from experience.
So that maybe needs to change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a question we can continue to work on, and I know that from our end we will continue to support the small brands. And I invite you now to go into the show and smell as many as you can in the next 2 days. Thank you all for coming, and if you have any other questions, I'll be out in the hallway. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about the telephone. I wanted on the stand.
Okay, you better run
It
then.
was Tony.